Hello everybody, Spirited Senior here with some news for the week. And there's quite a bit of news this week. We'll start off with Pelosi warns Nadler, the House Judiciary Dems, back off impeachment. There's a growing rift between House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and the House Judiciary Chairman Gerald Nadler over the push to impeach President Trump. Nancy Pelosi criticized the House Dems during a closed-door meeting last week for being too aggressive in their actions to impeach the president. Pelosi knows impeachment is political suicide for her, so she has been doing a very careful dance around the subject with her doublespeak. And now she's warning members of the Democratic caucus to back off impeachment. Pelosi also knows that the full House does not support impeaching Trump because a resolution introduced by Rep. Al Green was already shot down in a landslide. Furthermore, McConnell's made it very clear that impeachment would not pass the Republican-controlled Senate. Well, of course it wouldn't. Pelosi criticized the panel's handling of impeachment in harsh terms, complaining committee aides have advanced the push for ousting President Donald Trump far beyond where the House Democrat caucus stands. Democrats simply don't have the votes on the floor to impeach Trump, Pelosi said. And you can feel free to leak this, she added, according to multiple people in the room. Pelosi's office declined to comment on the meeting. It was the latest sign of the widening schism between Pelosi and Nadler, two longtime allies who are increasingly in conflict over where to guide the party at one of its most critical moments. No kidding. Nadler recently approved procedures for an impeachment investigation into President Trump. Nadler's Soviet-style impeachment hearing began this week with Corey Lewandowski, a devoted and loyal friend of Trump's, poured cold water on Nadler and Dems during the hearing Tuesday. And if you watched that hearing on Tuesday, you would know exactly what they're talking about. Pelosi pushed back on impeachment talk last week during a presser and walked out on reporters to dodge questions about impeachment. Impeachment is a very divisive measure, but if we have to go there, we'll go there, but we can't go there unless we have the facts, which you don't have, okay? And she knows it. Pelosi keeps saying she wants to litigate and get to the facts, but she will never commit to impeachment. We'll make our decision when we're ready. That's the only question. That's all I'm going to say about the subject, she said. But Nadler is going full speed ahead with his impeachment hearings. Some call this process an impeachment inquiry. Some call it an impeachment investigation. There is no legal difference between these terms, and I no longer care to argue about the fact, Nadler said last week as he opened the meeting. But let me be clear, any remaining doubt, the conduct under investigation poses a threat to our democracy. We have an obligation to respond to this threat, and we are doing so. Nadler led his presser last Thursday, where he asserted that the impeachment investigation will go well beyond the four corners of the Mueller report. Now, I don't know, but this guy, he's nuts up as far as I could see. Just nuts. Anyways, moving on. Acting DNI refuses to comply with Adam Schiff's subpoena, prompting standoff with Congress. I'm sorry, that's just too funny. House Intel Chairman Adam Schiff recently subpoenaed acting DNI Chief Joseph Magir, I think that's how you spell it, and accused him of illegally withholding a whistleblower complaint from Congress that could potentially be covering up the president's misconduct. This man, I'm telling you, he is desperate. Okay? The committee can only conclude, based on this remarkable confluence of factors, that the serious misconduct issue involves the President of the United States and or other senior White House of administration officials, Schiff said in a letter to McQuire, I think it is, a week and a half ago. The whistleblower complaint was filed last month shortly after McQuire was chosen to be acting DNA chief. Joseph McQuire refused to comply with Schiff's September 17th deadline and will not testify this week or hand over the whistleblower complaint, prompting a standoff with Congress. CNN reports, Tuesday night, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence sent a letter to Committee Chairman Adam Schiff, a California Democrat, and ranking Republican Devin Nunes of California, saying the complaint does not meet the definition of urgent concern because it does not relate to intelligence activity. Yes, it doesn't. The complaint involved confidential and potentially privileged matters relating to the interests of stakeholders within the executive branch. A copy of the letter obtained by CNN says, adding that complying with the committee's request will necessarily require appropriation consultations. Yes, I guess it would. But, Schiff's not happy. Schiff responded, the ICIG determined that the complaint is both credible and urgent, which is why the committee must move quickly. The committee's position is clear. The acting DNI can either provide the complaint as required under the law, or he will be required to come before the committee to tell the public why he is not following the clear letter of the law, including whether the White House or the Attorney General are directed to him to do so. He has yet to provide the complaint in response to the committee's subpoena, so I expect him to appear on Thursday under subpoena if necessary. You know what? I think these people are just, I don't know what's the matter with them. They're just going a little nutty as far as I'm concerned, eh? Anyways, moving on. DOJ Inspector General Michael Horowitz reveals he referred James Comey for criminal prosecution. Yes, we heard about this. DOJ Inspector Michael Horowitz testified before the House Committee on Oversight and Reform on Wednesday morning. Horowitz revealed to lawmakers that he criminally referred former FBI James Comey for prosecution. The Justice Department ultimately declined prosecution, and despite Comey bragging about this, the IG indeed concluded he criminally acted. Well, he did. Comey gave portions of his classified memos to his friend-turned-lawyer-turned-unpaid FBI official Daniel Richman to leak to the New York Times in order to prompt a special counsel investigation into Trump. Horowitz released a report last month on Comey's handling of his classified memos and said he set a dangerous example when he leaked his Trump memos to his friends and attorney. Well, yes, that's a very dangerous thing because, who are you going to trust if anybody can talk to the president and just open their mouth all over the place. That's not good. That's a very dangerous thing to do. Congressman Mark Meadows, or C, on Wednesday asked Horowitz to investigate allegations that Comey lied during the 2017 Senate hearing because there were numerous times where Comey testimony did not match up with what was written in Horowitz's report. Horowitz agreed to look into the allegations, according to the Washington Times. Congressman Jody Hice, a Republican, called Horowitz's revelation that he criminally referred Comey to prosecution monumental. And I think it is too. Comey is not out of the woods yet, because the Inspector General is releasing another report on FISA abuse any day now. So I think they're waiting to catch him on something much bigger, and because he's committed a lot more serious crimes than that. I mean, he's committed crimes against the United States of America. Okay, here we go. Trump's approval claims. Tracks better than Obama at same point. While President Trump has continued to struggle in many national approval polls, according to the daily tracking poll produced by Rasmussen, one of the most reliable U.S. pollsters, after taking a dip in the polls, Trump's back up to nearly his highest mark in the last 2 years, and tracking better than President Barack Obama or Barry Soetoro at the same point in his presidency. Hussein would go on to easily win re-election against Republican Mitt Romney, while early head-to-head polls indicate that Trump is going to have a steeper hill to climb. The Rasmussen Reports daily presidential tracking poll for Monday shows that 50% of likely U.S. voters approve of President Trump's job performance. 49% disapprove. They'll come over. And there's a whole bunch of them who haven't even spoken out yet. While Trump is +1 on overall approval, he's still behind among those who feel strongly one way or the other. The latest figure include 35% who strongly approve of the job Trump is doing and 41% who strongly disapprove. This gives him a presidential approval index of -6. Well, since January, Rasmussen has found Trump's overall approval fluctuating from between a low 43%, which he hit in mid-January, to a high 52%, which he reached the next month. Since the beginning of June, Trump's range has narrowed somewhat, fluctuating between a low of 45% to a high of 51%. His approval index has been constantly negative, though at times it's below the margin of error and has even reached 0 a few times. Well, you know what? That's your polling, sweetheart. That is your polling, not everybody else's. And, can't believe everybody. So let's move on to police arrest 24 people in Georgia for a child sex sting. Yes. Over here, sheriff deputies in Georgia have arrested 24 people, 23 men and 1 woman, on child sex charges after a 4-day sting operation targeting children predators, police say. The undercover sting, called Operation Just Cause, led to the arrest of 23 men and 1 woman, all ranging in the age from 19 to 65, on alleged child sex and human trafficking charges, according to a statement from the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office. The sting, which began last Thursday, targeted alleged predators willing to meet children online for sex. and willing to pay to have sex with underage individual. Are these people sick or what? You know what? You should parade them down the street, honest to God, to make people realize how evil this is. Online child predators visit chat rooms and websites on the internet, find children, begin conversations with them, introduce sexual content, and arrange a meeting with the children for the purpose of having sex. The spokesman for the sheriff's office said, and that, that is insane. That is insane. I don't know. I'm glad they got these guys, and there's a lot going on with this. They're bringing in a lot of people these days. I haven't been keeping track of it. I've been reading it, but I haven't reported on a lot of it. But I'm going to start reporting more on it, because this needs to be known to everybody, Anyways, that's all for today, and I'll talk to you next time I have some news for you, okay? See you later.